So something that has always been the talk of the town when it comes to the Jurassic franchise is the designs of the animals. More specifically, accurate versus inaccurate. Growing up, I've been all over the place with this kind of debate. For the most part, when I was growing up, I used to be on the side that these are movies. This is just something you watch to have fun. Myself, I was always able to make the distinction between what's accurate and what was made for the movies. So it was something that was always easy for me to kind of digest. You know, I was able to separate my love for accurate dinosaurs and my love for these awesome blockbuster movies. But there's a few other sides to this argument. There's the side that, of course, accuracy is important, and of course that's what our detail is going to be about. But there's also the side of that these are accurate dinosaurs just within the context of their universe. I actually made a video about that, and it was a lot of fun to kind of dive into and think about, and I think that's probably the most fun way to look at this situation, kind of like an in-universe lore type of thing. Like, I had a lot of fun looking at that. But right now we're going to talk about accuracy and the Jurassic franchise. I do think that accuracy is important. Because while myself and several other people who grew up with these movies are very easily able to tell the difference between a real-life Giganotosaurus and the Giganotosaurus that was shown in Dominion, the majority of the viewing public is not able to so easily make that distinction. In fact, for the most part, most of them get their prehistoric information from these movies. This is the only way that they will ever get that kind of look into the past. Because quite frankly, a lot of them aren't interested in the paleo documentaries or reading the books or anything like that. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've been talking to someone and they still think that velociraptors were 6 foot tall, featherless lizards, essentially. When in reality, of course, they were a lot smaller and, of course, were completely feathered. And this is normally when the main argument comes in that, like, documentaries are supposed to be informative while the Jurassic franchise can keep being what it is. But the problem with that is that the Jurassic franchise, and it's 100% not intentional, I guarantee you that, but it has a chokehold on the in dinosaur media in general. I have a lot of paleontology books, right? And I read through them, but they almost always reference Jurassic Park in some way, shape, or form. Because they know that that's how best they can capture their reader, because it's such a popular franchise, and the majority of the people who know dinosaurs know it from the Jurassic franchise. Or you even look at documentaries, and a lot of documentaries that you watch have more so a push for action and exciting dinosaur things that were kind of brought to the front and center from the Jurassic franchise, especially when the Jurassic franchise started making their push more towards cool dinosaur fights. I mean, the T-Rex in Jurassic Fight Club was straight up inspired from the T-Rex from the Jurassic franchise. So it has a huge influence on dinosaurs in general. I mean, you don't see multiple dinosaur franchises happening at once. Recently, 65 was a new thing, but I don't think that was received too well. I didn't exactly like it too much. So the Jurassic franchise is really the only way that most people see dinosaurs, and so because of that, that is what their dinosaurs are. That's where they're going to get their information from. So when they see something like this, and they hear it called a baryonyx, that's what they think a baryonyx is going to be. Even though I really wish it wasn't. I'm not a big fan of the baryonyx design. I mean, where's its claw? It's literally named for its giant claw. Why is the claw not, visible? And interestingly enough, the old Jurassic Park films, 1, 2, and 3, they did have the intention of being as accurate as they possibly could. They, of course, consulted with paleontologists, did a lot of their research, and really had a push to make these animals seem as naturalistic as possible. And a lot of these designs hold up to what we believe these animals looked like in the 90s. Velociraptor, of course, was based off of Deinonychus in the film, and compared to a Deinonychus in the 90s, yeah, that's pretty much what it looked like. Same goes for T-Rex, Brachiosaurus, Triceratops, that all pretty much matches up, except for the Dilophosaurus, of course. But the reason why the Dilophosaurus looks so different, even compared to the way it looked in the 90s, it looks vastly different. That Dilophosaurus was never accurate, but the reason for that is for thematic purposes. So one of the biggest themes in Jurassic Park is the fact that man cannot control nature, and also man's hubris and their arrogance. They crack the code of this cloning genetic technology, and they are able to bring back dinosaurs from 66 million years ago and further back. And the biggest problem with that was easily highlighted in the film, was that they were too arrogant with it. They immediately started pushing for a park to be created because they wanted to show off these amazing creations. The Dilophosaurus represents that they have no idea what they're doing. And this was definitely emphasized a lot more in the novel, but it is brought up when through Ian Malcolm quite easily several times throughout the film, that, you know, they slap it on a plastic lunchbox and they're going to sell it. You know, they didn't even know what they were doing. They, you know, as to quote another character, tried to run before they even knew how to walk. Is that the correct quote? I really hope so. Otherwise I'm going to look really dumb. They were creating these things and ready to show them to the public, even though they didn't understand it. They didn't know that Dilophosaurus was able to spit venom. They only found out after they created the animal. And then they still were going to show it off. So really the Dilophosaurus isn't there for accuracy. It's there to drive home the theme of the movie, which of course, you know, that works out pretty well. But in the newer movies, they never really, they kind of dropped that whole idea of trying to make them as accurate as our current understanding goes. For the most part, they were kind of keeping them in the style of the 90s, but a lot of designs, they took creative liberties. Because, like, say, to bring up Baryonyx again, if they made the Baryonyx look like it did in the 90s to kind of match that style, then it would look like this instead of this. So really what they're going for is the rule of cool aspect. They want to make these dinosaurs look as cool as possible. That's why it seems like every theropod has osteoderms on its back. And honestly, if that's your cup of tea, then that is 100% okay. But I do think that there needs to be a little bit more of a push for accurate dinosaurs. I mean, we did get a little bit more of that in Dominion. Feathers have finally officially shown up in the franchise, with Pyroraptor being completely feathered with what seems like the correct feathering for that kind of dromaeosaur. Even Therizinosaurus had some sparse feathering, which honestly might even be correct too, because there's a debate on whether or not Therizinosaurus had full feathering, sparse feathering, or no feathering. And then that brings in the whole, well, accurate dinosaurs won't be scary. And I full-heartedly disagree with that. I've talked to several people who think that bears are extremely cute. That's not going to stop a bear from attacking them and mauling them. Same can be said for a feathered dromaeosaur. This clip right here was done by Wobbly Works. Definitely go and check out their channel. It has a lot of great CGI content on there. Can't recommend it enough, but it portrays a dromaeosaur kind of silhouetted, and it proves that if you are, you know, creative enough with what you are giving, you can make practically anything scary. In fact, it's something that was done all the time with horror movies, like taking something as simple as a child's doll, something that's supposed to represent happiness and, you know, is a symbol for something good, and then they make it terrifying through Annabelle or Chucky. The same can be done for feathered dinosaurs. I mean, I see grown people running away from chickens all the time, so it definitely can be done. It just takes someone who is able to get creative with enough, get the proper framing, proper lighting, and use it in the proper scenario, and we will have accurate dinosaurs that could, you know, be more terrifying. This, of course, does not apply to dinosaurs that were established in the original trilogy, of course. I'm talking new dinosaurs introduced, because you don't really want to break continuity. I completely understand why the Velociraptors look the same, or the T-Rex, or the Dilophosaurus. I understand why old dinosaurs look the way they do. You want to keep that consistency. But when you're introducing new dinosaurs, more of a push for accuracy, I think, could go a long way. And again, I think that a lot of this is still happening. The Carnotaurus, I think, looks great. I can definitely tell that it's supposed to be a Carnotaurus and is a solid design overall. Again, Oviraptor, which is more like a Psittipati. All these animals are getting more of that push, because learning about the past is, of course, extremely important, and that includes learning about dinosaurs. If we learn about the past, we can better understand our present and then understand our future. And while, yes, these animals are really cool and really awesome to be portrayed on the big screen, I do think that there is a certain level of responsibility to present them in a good light and not simply just as movie monsters. Because, and this will be my wrapping up statement because I've said it a lot, I'm able to make that distinction. A lot of you are probably able to make that distinction, but the majority of the viewing audience will not be able to make that distinction. And just bringing a little bit of educational factors, not necessarily to like bring in like a lecture or anything, but just kind of like bringing a little bit more of a light to that, the accuracy, then I think could go a long way in presenting these animals. But I think that's all I've got on my plate right now. If you guys have anything else to add to the conversation, go ahead and do so in the comments below. This is all pretty much my opinion, my thoughts on this. Again, I absolutely love these movies, so I'm definitely not tearing them down. I love the Jurassic World trilogy as well, so I'm, again, not tearing them down. I like the designs. I think they're fun designs. I'm able to make the distinction, so I'm able to have a lot of fun with it too. But once again, if you guys have any thoughts to add to this discussion, make sure to let me know, and have an awesome day.